What's up, everybody? Welcome to Inside the Game, your one source for everything cool in video games. You can be a part of our show. All you have to do is go to insidethegame.ca or hit us up on Discord, where there you can submit your clip and end off our show. Well, we've got a jam-packed episode this week. What's coming up? Here it is. It's the rundown.
Yeah, and Steve, with this voice, he's actually not a voice.
If you've not heard or played the Among Us game, then where have you been hiding?
Drew, this week, all monotone aside, we're checking out a turn-based shooter, Phoenix Point on Stadia.
Guys, Xbox seems to be picking up steam, and, well, that kind of helps when Bethesda drops 20 new games coming to Game Pass. Well, that's looking like a great episode, so let's get started.
Alright, Steve, this week we're going with a recommend or don't recommend on The Protagonist EX1, which is available on Steam for $13.
So the plan was to send out a distress beacon near Anamon far orbit and wait for the aliens to tow us in for study. We've determined they seem to prefer capture over killing whenever possible. So, how did I end up here?
So, man, what did you think of this turn-based RPG strategy game, man? Because I've had a lot of experience with this genre, and this one kind of reminds me of more of a Dread Nautical approach as opposed to like an XCOM or a Gears Tactics approach.
So I was kind of looking forward to playing it. I'm very open-minded to try any different type of game. So when we start off on the space station, and you have to find out why you're there, and then you have to investigate why it's threatening your planet Terra. So the game itself is you play Angel, and it's actually point and click, move your cursor, left click, and the character moves to that position. A lot of the doors you find might be locked, or there's a code to unlock it, and you have to play a couple of puzzles to unlock the doors. And it could be moving around on door switches to open doors or defeat certain enemy. But you also have some help as well. A character called Pilot that is a voice in your ear that tries to help and guide you.
Yeah, and Steve, with this voice, he's actually not a voice, which is kind of funny because half the game you're actually involved with real voiceovers, but then all of a sudden this character Pilot, who's talking in your ear, is not talking. So that was a bit of a disconnect for me. And another thing too, man, is while you're playing the game and doing these puzzles, you can't really move your camera. You can rotate it to kind of help yourself move some of these, this battery from this location to the other. But it was kind of frustrating, honestly, a lot of the time to not just be able to simply pan my camera over and then just simply drag it. Because I don't know, like you said, it's point and click. It's not like a lot of these other games where you have a more of a top-down perspective. So yes. I didn't like that as much, I'd say.
So to move the objects, you have to move your mouse over the object, left click it to pick it up, to move over the switch to open the doors. I do find that a lot of the doors are already locked, so you have to progress further in the game, and I'm assuming you'll have to go all the way back to explore other areas. The other thing as well is you do have weapons as well. You start off just bare-fisted, didn't you?
Yeah, man.
So that's all you have for fighting, and then the first thing you come across is a drone. And then it'll give you a slight tutorial how to fight the drone.
And man, getting into the combat, that's where this game is different. And that's why I'm going to lean more to the recommend, because it is different, but I just got a little frustrated with it. So, like most games, when you enter a combat into these turn-based style, you are allotted a certain amount of action points. But unlike other games, this one, you have movement, and it costs 1 action point, but you're only allowed to move up to like 4 spaces around. So once you do that, you are then stuck with about 4 action points. Starting the game anyways, you start with 5. So then you either have to shoot if you once you finally pick up a weapon, or just end your turn. So it's strange because it's one action point to move, and then that's all you can do for your turn. You're stuck either using a couple of your abilities, which is like overload or hack, and I don't know, man. It just made everything take way longer. I don't understand why they would go this way. And another thing too, the hand-to-hand combat cost MP versus AP, so you can do these combos and use up your MP as well as using action points. I found it was so overly complicated for no real reason.
Yeah, I did have some slight trouble with the points on the melee attacks, because you get, I think it's a punch, kick, elbow, and knee, and when you click on each one, it will give you like different levels or power, and then you have to drag it into like make in this combat tree, I guess, like your combination moves. You can link combination moves together, like you can punch and you can kick to get extra points. But I had a lot of issues with, I kept putting more moves in there than what I was allowed to, because I exceeded the points. So you end up just doing like a one punch and it could be a miss.
Dude, it was strange. They show 3 slots and they provide all these different moves that have different levels. Again, they don't really explain all of it. So you try to combo together, you can put only 2. I tried every combination of everything, and I can only put 2 moves, and then I do a punch kick, and it's a miss, or a 1 damage, 1 damage. So I'm like, well, it's just, again, overly drawn out for no reason. But then once you get further into it, man, I leveled up my characters and their skill points, which is really cool, and I enjoy. But I maxed out my pistols and my melee with the 2 different characters that you have near the beginning. And man, I missed 6 times in a row just to get killed from these drones and have to restart. And it's nothing I could do, man. They were 1 space away, and I missed, and then I missed, and then they shoot at me, and then my character dies, which your characters die really fast in this. If they get hit twice, I'm playing on normal, they're done. Yes, they do revive if you survive the attack, which is nice, but still, it's just, man, I don't know. There's just not enough strategy involved or available while you're doing your battles. Like, there's no cover system. It's really just walk up to them, punch, or shoot, or hack. Which was why I'm kind of like, I don't know. But again, this is early access. They have some things to adjust. So maybe in the full release game, we will for sure see new missions and new characters and new creatures, because, you know, again, in this, there wasn't a lot of variety.
Yes, yeah. I think we should do a recommend and not recommend.
All right, Steve. So as you can tell, I'm a little indifferent. I'm going to have to actually go, though, with a recommend. I have been complaining a lot about it, but I do think the graphics are great. The voiceovers, when they're there, are pretty cool. The characters are cool. And the combat, I'm not fully sold on it, but I think if maybe with a little more polish, this could be something, you know, of great value for only $13. What about you, man?
Well, like you, Nate, I love the graphical style of it. I like the music as well, when it gets intense, when it gets into the battle mode. I did find the battle cumbersome, like on the picking the points and what moves to do, but I did like the close-up of the cutscene when you actually perform the battle. I'm hoping to see a little bit more than just drones, because I just find it a little bit more repetitive. It'd be different if there's different machines or robots or something else to battle against, but the platform and the idea of everything I do like, and the storyline, so I'm going to give this a recommend as well. The music, the story, and the style of graphics really suit this point-and-click sci-fi game. Unfortunately, the same enemies and awkward combat scheme made it frustrating at times. The Protagonist EX1 is still in early access and is a recommend.
So as someone that plays their games mainly on Xbox, I'll tell you one thing that's always been a huge pet peeve. Whenever I have an update or a game I'm trying to download, I can't really play online without throttling those download speeds. It's kind of a pain in the butt really, or I sacrifice in-game performance because I'm downloading something in the background. Well, Xbox engineering lead Eden Marie just posted on Twitter that Xbox insiders, anybody part of that program right now, will actually, if you head over to the manage queue option in the Xbox dashboard menu, you'll actually have a new little tab there that says suspend my game. And what that does is that actually, if you click on that, it will suspend the current game you're playing to allow you to kind of ramp up those download speeds so you can get full download going. But the nice thing is before you used to have to close the application to achieve that, now we're just suspending it. So whether you're playing on an Xbox One or you're jumping onto your Series X or Series S, you'll be able to jump right back into the game without losing any save, anything. You're just jumping right back in. So it's actually like a quick resume for the Xbox One, and it's just allowing you to quick resume back into the games on the Xbox Series X and Series S. This is actually a huge quality of life improvement. It's a small thing to change, and it must have taken some time because I know a lot of people were having this issue, but it's awesome to see the fact that they're implementing these things, because really when the new gen consoles came out for Xbox, we didn't really see much change with the menu system. Yeah, we could customize the tabs and there was a few different things we could move around, which was nice, but the fact is it's pretty much been the same. It's solid, it works, it's good. I can see why they're not really changing it, but it's nice to get these little options to kind of allow us to keep downloading those games or updates and kind of get those download speeds ramped up as high as possible, because let's get real here, all we want to do is download these updates and games so we can just keep playing. So the fact that they're even thinking about it is a huge thing. So if you're part of the Insider program, you're going to be able to check out that feature right now, and if you're not signed up in that program, you really should check it out, because you actually do get access to a lot of these features early. But if you're not and you're not really interested, you will get that feature in a couple of weeks. So keep your eye out for Suspend My Game in the Manage Queue menus, and let me tell you, you're going to be downloading stuff at lightning fast speeds.
Alright, now I know we talk a lot here about Xbox and Microsoft and Game Pass, but how can we not? Because, well, Bethesda, they recently got bought out by Microsoft and they just added 20 games to Game Pass. But that's not the only thing that's got added to Game Pass. I'm talking about EA Play, and now it finally being available to the PC side of things. Back in November, on Xbox, EA Play was fully integrated. You got all those great games. But now, on PC, this is huge. I mean, you get The Sims 4, you get Star Wars Squadrons, all these great games now added to your subscription that you've already been paying for. No, it's not free, but wow, what an extra bonus for something that you may have already been paying for. And you want to know what? If you haven't been paying for Game Pass, well, this might just sway you. Let me know on Discord or at InsideTheGame.ca if you are thinking about Game Pass or if you recently got it.
If you've not heard or played the Among Us game, then where have you been hiding? As this is a multiplayer online whodunit, and it's a lot of fun. Well, on March the 31st, there's a new map that's dropping, the Airship. And it's the fourth in the series, and it was supposed to be released in September last year, and due to the pandemic, this game blew up in popularity, so the developers Intersloth decided not to release the map, but actually concentrate more on the base game to improve it. Well, in this map, it's the biggest map yet to come, and they've added some extra stuff. The principle of the game is exactly the same. You have up to 4 to 10 players and 1 to 3 imposters depending on the size of the crew. If you have a minimum of 6 crew members, then you can have up to 2 imposters. And the idea is that no one knows who's the imposters, and you have to work out who they are and vote them off before you get killed. In this new map, they've also added ladders now, so you can go from room to room. And also, when you start the game, you'll start off together in one area. Well, I've now decided that you can actually decide where you want a starting point, so you're not all huddled together and people keeping an eye on you. They've also included more tasks for you to do, so it'll definitely keep you busy, but watch your back as you never know who the imposter is. Well, I'm really looking forward to trying out this map, and I'm sure the ITG crew is as well. This game got released on iOS in 2018, and then a couple of months it got released onto PC. Well, the also good news as well is, in a couple of months, this will be released on the Xbox as well. So the more people you get, the more fun you have. So it's time to gather up your friends or get your family members and decide who you think is the imposter.
Drew, this week we're checking out a turn-based tactical shooter. Let's get into it.
Virus is causing horrific mutations. You must join one of the havens. Do not attempt to survive on your own.
Drew, this week, all monotone aside, we're checking out a turn-based shooter, Phoenix Point on Stadia. I haven't played a Stadia game in a little bit, so it's kind of cool to jump in on one. And I think actually the first thing I'm going to get at here is the fact that we both played on different sets of controls. You use the Stadia controller, I use the keyboard. I just kind of want to preface with that as we kind of go through and talk about this so people kind of understand what we're getting at here. Because there was a few things with this one when we first jumped in that I had a bit of a difficult time with, and I'm going to start with the story, because the story isn't as gripping as I want it to be, and it's mainly based on the fact that the voiceovers are so monotone.
We had no news from Symes for many months. Did he send the activation codes? I was desperate to know what happened to him. The mutants were on the march again. Something was happening. If the mist was back, then it meant that the Pandora virus was mutating again, twisting the human form into new horrors.
There's no emotion in these characters, and these are the types of games that are fairly heavily story based. Like, there's usually a ton of gameplay mechanics here when it comes to how you play these turn-based tactical shooters, but there's usually an overarching story that kind of keeps you involved and invested in these characters. And I just found this game didn't necessarily do that for me, right out of the gate. And unfortunately, if you're not doing that within the first couple hours, you're going to have a hard time keeping people, right? I mean, the gameplay here was a lot of fun. I did have a good time. But what did you think jumping into this one?
Yeah, so it's from some of the developers behind XCOM and XCOM 2. And I love the XCOM series. It's one of my go-tos for these turn-based games. And it's so cool. But when we jumped into Phoenix Point, dude, I jumped in first. I gave you a heads up, like, man, this is slow going. Yeah. And sure enough, it is, right? And it's one thing to get a slow story, then all of a sudden have it ramp up. But it's hindered even further with the fact that our main protagonist, she's just so slow and quiet and boring and like, it's just one tone, right? When you announce that, so my companion's getting hit with a bullet, I'm like, oh my god, like, watch out, you're getting shot at, like, do something, like, add some energy to this game, because there's just no energy, Corey. I was falling asleep playing this damn thing, man, and it was really frustrating because you play an XCOM story, dude, you're like in there, you're gripped. I played it, it was so cool. I played it on Vita. Yeah, we'll talk about, rest in peace, my Vita. I appreciate that console. That system was awesome. Either way, getting back to the Phoenix Point, it was just, you kind of have that anticipation of, well, if they're from that team, they already know how this mechanic works, right? And how they can build upon it. But the mechanic itself, yeah, great. It's still the same mechanic, though. That's the thing. These games feel very familiar and very rinse repeat. And after a while, if you're not that go-to for this genre, it just gets stale. So you touched on the fact that you played on mouse and keyboard. I use the Stadia controller, so I'm on the big screen of my Stadia controller. Dude, it is clunky. Like, so you can zoom in, great. So you zoom in with the D-pad, but there's other levels you go to, so you need to move your character up different levels. Well, I moved one of my character, they only had so many AP points, so which means you only have so many points to spend before you can move that character so far, and then their points are out. Well, I moved them right in front of the stairs. Well, guess what? Now that completely blocked anybody from going around that person to go up to the next level. So I had to like burn a turn on getting my character to the next level. So it's just like, man, there's just so many setbacks. And then to get up to that next level, you're flicking on the right analog stick, and then you're flicking it back down. And it's just, my one character, he acts as the heavy. Dude was just completely useless. I didn't like him at all. I'm like, this guy, he sucks. The guy sucks. And he just wouldn't do anything, man. And then to go into Overwatch, some characters require 3 points of action to use. Okay, great. I get it. My guy's a heavy, so he's slower, right? But that means I can't prep him to get into certain situations, right? But then you get into some of these monsters, and then you get set up. And this is where the game really shines for me, is when you have all your teammates out at certain angles that you're covered, man. Whatever angle comes in, and these creatures, some of them they'll suck right to your face, and then they do this like mind control thing, right?
Yeah.
So some of these, or there's like a worm kind of like creature. There's a bunch of different creatures, some crab things, and this other thing that disperses as gas. They've got a foundation. It's just the execution. But yeah, getting back to the best part of the game, Corey, for me, was having my guys set up, and then I move one particular person after I have everybody else on Overwatch, and then the creatures would come around the corner, and I just pick them off, man. It was awesome. That part is cool. The rest of the game, just boring. Unfortunately, man, it's just boring.
Oh man, like you said, you gave me the heads up about the voiceovers here, and unfortunately, it's what you get exposed to, right off the bat in this game. They're not hiding it from you, so you really get the feel for it right away. So when you first start jumping into these missions, these games take a little bit to get used to, especially if you haven't played them very much or if you're new to the genre. So they had a pretty good tutorial. I'll give them that. They really brought you through the basics of the game and how each character with their abilities work. I like how in this game, when we get into the action phase and we're actually using our guns and shooting the enemies, we can actually kind of change the camera angle, and now we're looking more into like a third person, first person kind of view, aiming down sights, and we can actually pick the body parts or the areas on the enemies we're attacking to slow them down or disable certain weapons and things like that. So I thought that was actually a pretty cool aspect. That was probably the most exciting part to any of the engagements, because other than that, because the characters are kind of just there, you're not really invested in them. Like you said, the heavy is, I found him not very good either. I mean, just the base heavy, there's a lot of upgrading here when it comes to changing up your party and the characters as you go. Yeah. And that's the one thing the tutorial really didn't touch on. They give you the basics of the game mechanics, but then there's these menu systems kind of as you get into the missions of the game. And I had a tough time navigating some of them, kind of understanding like which buildings to be building. And like, there's a lot of things going on here. There's a geo map that we're following. And there's a lot of things happening here that aren't explained to you right away. So this is a game you have to invest some time into to kind of understand and learn. And then fans of the XCOM series are gonna love this game. I think they're gonna really enjoy the way this game plays, because they'll probably look past the story and be more involved in all the things that involved in all the things that this game kind of brings. Because I think in terms of quality of life changes, they made quite a few good changes as far as changing up the mechanics, because like you said, a lot of these games feel very similar. So the fact that we have that camera angle change during combat to kind of switch things up, I like that. But again, it all comes back to these cutscenes in between the missions and the way that the protagonist is talking, and it's just like, holy cow, just get me to the next little bit of action.
No, absolutely. And there's a lot of depth to the game, but to get to that depth, dude, to finish the prologue, I thought, holy, I'm just getting done the prologue now. And I must have been in there for what felt like forever, right? And then all of a sudden, Phoenix Point comes splash across the screen. I was like, whoa, man, what else is this going to contain, right? Because it's just like, man, I didn't felt engaged. And that's the problem. In a game like this, it's difficult to kind of get that engagement, get that action kind of rocking right from the hop. But at the same point, you got to have something that's going to hook somebody somehow. And there just wasn't really that hook for me that want to push forward. Because like I said, prologue pops, I was like, whoo, man, that was painful to get through, right? And then you get into the meat of the game. This is when you're now spending points to upgrade research areas and you grow your home base. And then you're investing into these characters. But quite frankly, I never cared about any of the characters. It was just a struggle, Corey, the entire time.
This must be the Scarab. It's seen better days, but it will have to do. Jump inside.
Corey, unfortunately, Phoenix Point just wasn't on point for either one of us, I don't think. It's just so hard to get into this one because of the monotone character right from the get-go. And just the long, boring, drawn-out story, even get past the prologue. And then when you get into the meat of the game, it just isn't explained how to research things properly. You get a little dialogue blurb, and that's about it. To be honest, man, this one wasn't on point at all. And for me, I'm there with a 3.5.
Whew. You know what? I definitely don't think this Phoenix going to be rising from the ashes anytime soon with a score like that, Drew. But you know what? I'm right there with you. This game just didn't hit the mark right from the beginning. It's too slow to start. These games tend to take some time to invest in, so I need something to be able to kind of carry me through and help me along the way, whether it be a little more in-depth tutorial as far as what you deal with outside of just the prologue, right? So there's just things here that they missed. There's some good gameplay mechanics, but overall I just didn't have that much fun. I can only give this one a 4.
Phoenix Project operatives scoured the world for clues. We had bases in 24 countries. Even the heavens were not...
Weak voiceovers and character development make getting into this one tough. Fans of the genre will enjoy the gameplay mechanics and the free game feature.
Targeting. Omar, is it? Glad you found some gear, because you're gonna need it. Now you're part of my squad.
Alright, so this week for Did You Know, I'm going to fill your wonderful brains with something that I found very interesting as of late. So with Microsoft recently buying Bethesda, they acquired a lot of studios. You got Machine Games, id Software, ZeniMax Studios, and so much more. And of course, the beloved Arcane Studios. So one thing I didn't know that I think you will absolutely find interesting is that way back in the day on the original Xbox, Starbreeze Studios created the Chronicles of Riddick.
Emergency mode.
Keep an eye on that one. I'll check out what's happening.
Problem.
Stay down and do not move. You see anything?
No, nothing.
Now, the Chronicles of Riddick: Escape from Butcher's Bay was an Xbox exclusive at the time. An amazing stealth-based first-person shooter that dove you into the world of Riddick, and it really, at the time, was incredible. But why I'm telling you this is because the creators, the founders of Starbreeze Studios, when they left that studio, they went and formed Arcane Studios. So that gave us the beloved Dishonored series. This I thought was so cool. Both amazing games taking place years after the fact. Now what does this mean? Hopefully we'll get a remaster of Riddick on the Series X, or even just backwards compatibility. I think we have a whole lot of options. We always love to hear what your guys' opinion is on our Discord or on our website, so please make sure to let us know what you think.
Guys, Xbox seems to be picking up steam, and well, that kind of helps when Bethesda drops 20 new games coming to Game Pass. The big question is, what does PlayStation do to counter that? Nate, what do you think PlayStation can do? Because, well, like I said, 20 games from Bethesda, and not small games either.
Well, man, I guess to be completely fair, PlayStation actually announced, I can't remember the name of the program. This is more of Corey's jam because he was just talking about it. But they just announced, what, 10 free games or 20 free games?
Yeah, 10 games. 10 games.
10 games. VR, and just regular games on PlayStation Store that will be completely free. And you want to know what? Those are some pretty good titles, man. Some of them we actually reviewed, Drew.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, no, there's Moss in there. So they got a mix of VR and regular games as well. They got Horizon Zero Dawn. So if somehow you slept on that one and didn't pick it up, here's your chance. Free April 19th, which is a huge get, man. That is a fantastic game. Then we got Subnautica and a bunch of other titles too that aren't small titles. The Witness is on there. Like, these are great games. So that's a great initiative, but that's a short-term goal, right? When we talk about Game Pass is in it for the long game. Xbox has shifted focus from the home console to have it be more of a service, a la Netflix kind of thing, right? And then Bethesda, you're adding in Doom Eternal, Doom, more Doom. You know what I mean? Like Fallout. You're getting Fallout. Yeah. You're getting some of my favorite games. Dishonored series. Please grab that. It is fantastic.
20 games, man. 20 huge games for free. I mean, for free.
Well,
in addition to what you're already paying.
Yeah, but how can Sony counter this? Corey, you got any thoughts?
Well, we just talked about their stay-at-home campaign or play-at-home campaign for the summer. Yeah. And then the idea is because of the pandemic and everything we're dealing with, they're kind of playing off that. But we all know this is kind of their semi-answer back to this Bethesda coming out party for Game Pass. Sure. Because let's get real here. The fact that Bethesda is, the library that they have, all the money that Microsoft spent to get them here, they're just saying, hey, guess what? We're just going to handpick 20 or so of our, I don't know, some AAA title type games, and we're just going to say, hey, check them out, enjoy. We've got more to come. I mean, that's tough because I think we all know within probably the next 3 to 5 years, a lot of these Bethesda titles, hopefully for Xbox fans, are going to be exclusive titles, right? So that's what we're gearing up for here, hopefully. Sony's already has some of that, right? Sony has these exclusives that Xbox hasn't had. But they don't have these companies going, hey, here's a pile of free games to try out. PlayStation doesn't have Game Pass. It's just the fact that they don't
PlayStation Now,
and it's not Game Pass. I mean, anybody that owns both knows one is better than the other. It's not that PlayStation Now is bad, but Game Pass just offers you so much more now. They used to be a lot closer, I think, when things first started. They were a little more neck and neck as far as, the Game Pass library wasn't as extensive as it is now. We didn't have as many big games as we do now. But to me, it's a no-brainer. The fact that Bethesda's just going to dump 20 games, huge games. I mean, albeit so the games that Sony dropped are all big time eater style games. I mean, you're going to get a ton of value, especially since you're not paying a thing. All you got to do is download these games. So, I mean, I like what they're doing here, but I just don't know, man. I don't know if Sony can keep up with this momentum that Xbox is starting to pile up with Game Pass, man. This isn't slowing down. They've just kind of snowballed over the last couple years, and you can see this thing starting to really take off.
Well, now on top of that, too, Nate mentioned, and I've seen it also kind of going around, Outriders comes to Game Pass as well. So there's a huge, big title coming out April 1st, and if you have Game Pass, if you kind of were on the fence about it, why not get it, right? Here's your opportunity. Check it out. If those of you who wanted to play Fallout and kind of never got into Fallout 4, but God, Nate goes on and on about Fallout 4. Lately got back into Fallout 76. I'm talking to our friend Kyle the other day. I go, dude, what are you doing? I'm checking out Fallout 76. Please let me download. So it's that snowball effect, right? All of a sudden it starts to pick up more steam because, oh man, you know what? I never got to try any of these because I didn't feel like dropping the $80 on the game. But hey, it's in Game Pass. Why not?
Yeah, man. And you want to know what's great for something like Outriders? A lot of people argue like, oh, it's only going to be in there for a handful of months and then it goes away. Well, it's like, you get a 30% discount. So either A, you beat the game and you're done with it, or B, you get a nice hefty discount on this game that you want to buy. So, Xbox, man, they really are showing some big numbers nowadays, man. I'm really excited to see what the future has to offer and what PlayStation has to counter with, because they are going to do something. We don't know the answer, what it is, but you know that in a couple years they're going to come up with something and it's going to be totally Sony-like, where everyone's jaw is on the floor and just it's gonna be awesome.
They will have an answer. I agree. The one thing I just want to add real quick, the kind of fourth dimension to all this, is that all these Game Pass games are also available on PC as well. It's not just console.
Yeah,
so we're getting all these games on PC because I know exactly right. So I'm just saying, like, there's so many. The accessibility is just there with Game Pass and xCloud, and just the way they've laid out that service, that it's gonna be a hard one to top. Sony's gonna have to really pull up their bootstraps on this. They're gonna have some good games. We know, like you said, Nate, they're gonna have an answer here, but I think they're gonna need to figure out a better game plan than what they're currently rolling with. They got Xbox at launch, but Xbox is starting to catch up here.
Well, what happens though? Well, let's look into the future, right? And what happens when Phil Spencer comes out on stage at their next big event and goes, Starfield, such and such date, world premiere, exclusive, right? You're waiting for that exclusive. You're gonna get that if you do the same thing for Skyrim. Man, like if you are a huge Bethesda fan for Skyrim and you're looking out for Starfield and you own a PlayStation and not an Xbox, now what do? You instantly go buy Game Pass. That's what you do.
Here's the biggest thing, man. Like, the guys who wrote Phil Spencer's speech, if he didn't write it, man, they know how to dance around information like beautifully. Because the way they said it, it's like, if you want to experience Bethesda games, it's good. It's like something. I wish I had the quote in front of me. Forgive me, but it's something like experience. It's not even experience it best on Game Pass.
No,
it's more worded in the way that it's experience it only on Game
exclusively without saying exclusively.
It's like we want everyone to be playing this, but available that's on Game Pass, which means PC, xCloud, and Xbox, and maybe the Switch. Maybe the Switch in here, guys. Who knows, man? I'm not think so, but
you can get Starfield on Xbox Game Pass, xCloud, PC,
your TV,
Switch, but not PlayStation. Here's the kicker: you can play it on the Switch, but you can't play it on PlayStation. That would be just mind blowing. Yeah, no, definitely.
There's just so many questions with all this, man. With the exclusivity, like I said, they danced around this. Where I stand is, I think Starfield is going to be on Xbox only.
Yep.
Like, it's actually funny. Way back in the day, Sony was actually fishing for exclusivity on Starfield. Like, they were going to make that a PlayStation exclusive. But the Xbox, I guess, just like, no, we're buying it all.
Yeah, definitely different.
We got Deathloop 2, and what's that other Ghostwire, I think? Man, like, those are going to be... But the thing is, those are exclusive on PlayStation. So it's such a funny time, man. Oh, man. I'm excited to play those on my, enhanced on my Series X, but it's just crazy.
We'll see. Because those were deals made prior to the arrangement with Bethesda, right?
Exactly.
So they have to keep those obligations. But moving forward, I don't know, man. Xbox definitely has this going forward in a well-aimed direction that is going to set up them for the future in the long term. And I think they're going to start stealing some PlayStation fans away, because they have to, because you don't spend all that money just to give it back to PlayStation and say, here, take Starfield from us. It's a big mistake. Let us know what you think at InsideTheGame.ca. Is Starfield going to be exclusive? We think so. The guys and I got to hang out this week, and we were checking out some more Rainbow Six Siege. It's been a while, but it's good to be back.
Just shot out here.
Yeah.
I got one here. I'll check for you, Drew.
Oh, you're so dead.
Yeah, there's a guy laying on the ground right next to you, Daniel. Yeah. He's coming your way.
Got him?
Oh, I just got shot in the back. He's down the stairs.
Got him. Good call.
Let's go. He's still in there. And it. Who? I got drunk.
Oh, no, he shot through the window.
window. Oh, the mirror window. Yeah, Drew, he's looking through that one that was staring at that entry door. But he just broke the glass on it. Oh, man, it's feeling trash.
Spotted by scan.
Oh, Barry, I'm gonna shot you.
Oh, I just got shot. Waiting for him. Oh, shot in the foot.
Yeah, he was looking through that, Drew, so just be careful.
Shot me right in the
15
foot.
seconds.
Okay, anytime.
10 seconds remaining.
Where is he?
Right there.
You're in the middle.
Oh!
Oh, I suck.
Oh,
I suck.
Nice try, guys.
Man, this is going to the finals.
Yeah.
Oh, that was it.
No, that should be
One more.
One more to go. Woo.
Attack or defend?
Attacking.
Or defending? Defend. Yeah.
Defending.
Guess it flips.
Oh, that was brutal.
Oh, I did the same thing, man.
I flicked. Alright, we're defending though. Shoot. Alright. Jaeger's cool.
Jaeger bomb.
No, it's St. Patty's Day, man.
Jaeger bomb. Irish car bomb.
Hey, there you go.
Hey.
Those are actually not terrible.
No, they're not bad.
Been a long time since I had
Coming from an Irishman. Yeah, it's been
After 2 or 3, they don't taste like anything.
Be advised, Op 4 has found a bomb. Seconds to insertion. Be advised, a bomb location has been compromised. 5 seconds to insertion. Op 4 has located a bomb. Be ready for hostile action.
I got one more castle wall. Just put it here.
Do this door,
Everything.
Sure.
ATS up and running. Razor wire is deployed. Just a little camera initiated.
I got him over here. Whoa! Oh, he's got behind me.
That didn't take long. Uh-oh.
Not at all. Bathroom. They're in the bathroom. I didn't even see that window behind me. That sucks. Right here. Blackbeard.
Oh,
five.
that wall just got blown open.
Oh yeah, they just blew a hole over here. Someone's
Oh, I just got ripped. Oh,
Oh, oh man, no.
Alright, boys. I'm gonna try and focus in here.
No way.
just saw my
Nice.
kneecap.
Nice.
Ugh.
He's still right here. Watch your legs.
Oh, oh, Nate.
Nice. Good job, Nate.
There we go.
Still another one there, though, buddy. Heads up.
Whoa!
Oh!
Oh, you caught you vaulting.
Ah. As if she pushed, man. I wasn't expecting that.
I'll let you know if she comes through that window, guys. It's on the west side.
Left? Oh, you're on the camera right now?
Yeah.
Worried about this hole over here.
I can hear them.
Coming now.
Yeah, they're over that way.
Yeah, they migrated.
Yeah. Yeah, they're east side.
Yeah, towards Daniel.
Someone just hit something.
Yeah, I goo mine, I think. So that's I had like 2 coming up those stairs by you, Adam.
I'm on that cam, Adam. I don't see anybody. I'll let you know.
Oh, nice shot.
Oh,
You missed.
nice.
There's gotta be another one there.
Another one there.
Yeah, there is. I can hear him.
It's right next to me, Daniel.
Right here, right here. Yep.
I don't want to push because I think that. My castle wall's still here.
Ooh, nice try.
Are you kidding
He's coming,
me?
he's coming, he's coming. Adam, he's coming on you, buddy. Right behind you now.
Right on top of you.
He's right here. He's blowing through your back. Behind you. Bear, bear, right there. Dude.
Oh, he's right there. I don't think you had to.
Oh, the boys are back!
That was the most confusing endgame I've ever seen.
Oh my god. That was hilarious. That is awesome.
Dipped in there, son.
Twins killed it.
Wow.
Good job, boys.
Good job, boys.
Nice, nice.
Nicely done.
All right, Drew, you ready to eat dirt, man?
No. Nate, just like the intro, Supercross 4 is out, and yep, we just ate the dirt because, dude, all we did was place in last place.
Oh, man.
Supercross is back, and I always look forward to the milestone producing a new one so I can get back into Supercross because, man, I love the world of dirt bikes. I love racing them. I'm not a racer guy at all. I'm not in another racing genre, but when it comes to Supercross, I'm hooked. Problem is, they didn't really make it that different from last year with the difficulty. I have one problem after another because I'm always in last place. You check the difficulty setting, it's on very easy. This isn't easy, I'm in last. I go back to Supercross 2. I would sit at the starting line, let the racers go out, and then I would start up. Come in first place. Dude, I could crush that game. This one, Supercross 4, and Supercross 3 for even that matter, the difficulty level in these ones have just spiked up to an elevation of just unfathomable. And I don't get why it's so difficult when it's that easy. The easy setting is right there. It even says when you start it, very easy. There's nothing about this thing as easy at all. I've had one problem after another. How about you?
Man, I felt the disconnect right away too, dude. I went through the tutorial, which it's decent. I mean, it kind of just goes through the basics. But again, man, to be completely fair, the tutorial needs more to it, man, because when you're hitting a lot of these jumps or even like the speed bumps, I don't have an understanding of how to control my weight. And just something for the team, if they would have implemented just an extra 5-10 minute tutorial of being like, when you hit, let's say, a longer jump, you're going to want to shift your weight this much or roughly this much, or if you know the speed bumps, man, I spent 20 minutes, a half an hour trying to figure out how to put my stick so I could hit those humps really nice. But man, that disconnect was there, dude. This game is tough. Granted, that's in career mode and all the regular races. I actually placed a little bit higher, never first in any of the events, but I actually at least got closer. So that's kind of nice, but it's weird, man. When you're in career mode, you have training options and challenges. And, you know, I would place first place in some of these and then again hit that race and I get last place.
No, I know. There is just a balancing issue here is what's going on, right? For people that are new to Supercross and are looking to get into it, I think this is really going to dishearten them and take them out of the experience instantly if they pick up the game at all. That's the problem, right? You need to introduce people and how do they traverse the whoop section? What is a dragon back when you're hitting that jump, right? There's just a little tail and then there's a bigger jump. And then when you get into tabletops, how do you transfer from one tabletop to the next, or the triple jumps? Like, there's so many different things which makes the world Supercross so exciting because it's always different from the track. How do you train somebody or let them understand the mechanics of the game when they're brand new to it? I've been playing this for a while, so I'm able to kind of transfer my weight back and forth. And sometimes I'd have a smooth run, other times not so smooth. And it was just, man, the 250s obviously are a huge difference when you go to the 450 bike. There's a lot more power in that 450. And that's really where I found the game to be a little bit easier, because you're able to take the triples and land those, and you get that smooth transfer. But when you're in the 250s, dude, you see the pros go on 250s and they can achieve it. But when you're playing this, I found myself landing on the back side of the jump. I'm not landing over top of it. I'm landing actually in front of it or right on top. And then your player just bails. And then there's just no coming back from it at all. Or I start off good. I'll get the whole shot. I'm first. Great. That lasts for about 30 seconds. And then I'm last again. I was just like, man, it was irritating. But you talk about the compound. That's great. It more or less kind of gives you a place to go and explore, test out some jumps, things like that. It doesn't explain how to do a tail whip at all, which was kind of irritating. I still find the tail whip in the game one of the most frustrating mechanics to nail the most. And it's really important because it actually cuts down on the air drag when you're actually traversing from one jump into the next. Simple things you don't know, right? Especially if you're not familiar, like you, Nate.
Oh, man. Again, it was very, very tough. But, you know, the compound, what it does offer, which I thought was kind of cool, is just open world exploration. You know, a lot of dirt bikers, they like just hitting trails. And this kind of offers some of that and some totally ridiculous jumps that I actually really enjoyed. But again, there's actually collectibles, which is kind of neat. And then a time trial and events where you compete against AIs. So a nice addition. You know, instead of just having racing and career mode, you actually at least have, you know, some sort of free roam.
Yep. No, for sure. And something else that's new this year is actually the skill tree. I thought that was cool. You're able to improve your player as you kind of progress. And it was nice to get some of these challenges. But, man, training, again, when they did the training mode in your career, your training mode helps you achieve stars, which will allow you to spend points to upgrade your player. Perfect. Better braking, better handling, better transfers, all that stuff, right? Makes a lot of sense, and it goes well with the game. What really kind of hurt, though, is that if all they needed to do is have a little bit of a tutorial introduction on how to do some of these things. It comes up in a little blurb, but it's not enough. And especially, again, for new players, how do you do that drag and back? How do you do the transfer from one tabletop into the next? Doing some of these challenges, they get tougher as they go, and so they should. But in a little explanation of how to achieve these things would be a little nice reward. And then when you upgrade, again, super cool, but you're upgrading your bike, not so much your actual character, because the character customization in this game, you can change your outfits, but your overall appearance, like your face, when you're creating your character, is so minimal, man. It's one of the biggest lackings in the game, which is unfortunate. I really want to hone in on making myself. Right, and I'm not able to do that. If I can really make it so it's me out there on the racing around, it gives you that gravity that you want to go, okay, man, that's me. I really got to push myself, and it's there, but it's just not quite there yet. And I want to see a story mode introduced further on too. When we get into Supercross 5 or 6, man, introduce a story. Make me start from the lower ranks and work myself up from the 250 to the 450. Show the struggles of somebody getting into the world of Supercross, and how can that evolve into this big sponsorship opportunity within the game. There's opportunities here, but when you're just racing and racing and racing, sometimes it's just not enough.
Yeah, man, I think that's what would take Supercross to the next level, because again, like you said, it's just racing and then do a few challenges or maybe an event if you're eligible, and then hit the next race. So again, like a lot of these sports games and everything are really hitting us with a lot of cool career modes and stuff. So man, hopefully in the future we'll see that with some better graphics too, now that the next generation's all around.
For sure.
So in addition to career mode and compound, we actually have a track editor, which they have a tutorial at the very beginning, and man, they really hold your hand through this, which again, it's all just a blurb and then move on to the next piece and then put it on, and then it kind of explains how it works. So it's You know, with any sort of map editor, you have to have some sort of skill with this stuff. So I did think that the tutorial was pretty good with this. And you want to know what a cool feature? Why not build your own track? I'm sure a lot of guys that are into dirt biking probably has some pretty neat ideas, and I would love to be able to see some of them, because you can actually access maps that people have created.
No, absolutely. Actually, Milestone right now has a challenge going on too. So there you want to enter in that competition. That's pretty cool to see. Kind of reminds me of the Excite Bike back in the old day on Nintendo. Definitely a cool feature. I jumped into the world of online. What can I say?
Crickets.
Honestly, it was crickets. That was the problem, right? There was 2 servers going. That was it. I jump into a lobby of what was supposed to be 16 people. There was 5 of us. That's all. The rest is filled with AI, which I beat. So I can beat the AI in the online mode, but yet you go over to career mode and I just get crushed. It was just like that's again, it's a balancing thing, right? You got to balance out the very easy on the single player, and I keep going back to it because it's just frustrating. Because after a while, I just quit the game, and I didn't want to quit. I played so much of this game in the past. Coming into 4, man, the game looks great. So you get all excited to get back into the game again, and you're just disheartened and thrown to the side. And you, like you said, just eating dirt.
Yep. Well, man. Well, okay. I think we've talked a lot about this. If we were gonna score Monster Energy, blah 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 blah. What are you gonna score it?
Supercross 4 from Milestone from me comes in at a 6.5.
Oh, okay. Well, man, I enjoyed the free roam mode, and again, once you finally kind of place better than 22nd on some of these maps, it is really quite rewarding. So I'm there with a 7. The difficulty of this game and lack of character customization drives our score into the dirt. But having compound mode alongside a nice skill tree system really does help this one out.
That'll wrap things up. Thank you for hanging out with us. And of course, you can always be a part of our show. All you have to do is go to InsideTheGame.ca or hit us up on Discord just like Agent Howl did. Well, sometimes just gotta know when to call it a stream. Until next week, thank you for hanging out with us, and we'll see you inside the game.
Oh no. So we dead. Well, I mean, I guess that's a good place to end the stream.